Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. So today we are in the DC Designs Tomcat, and apparently in this version we now have the ability to flat spin. So today's date is April 28th, 2025. So I just upgraded the DC Designs Tomcats to the latest version. I forget what it is. I'll put it in the notes for the video, but these are supposed to flat spin. So that's what I'm going to try and do, because I've tried to flat spin them before. And it really hasn't worked out well for me. So we're going to give it a little bit of exterior fuel. And then we're going to go through here and crank up all the armaments. So we've got a pilot, a Rio. The AIM-9s are, what did it say, 400 pounds? Yeah, 400 pounds. 400. AIM-7s are 1,000. And the AIM-54 are 4,000. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4. I want 1,000 here. Okay. And hopefully that should have done it on our weight and balance on the outside, and we look all nifty and cool. So apparently, and we're flying the A model right now. So apparently you can't force this thing into a stall. Now, hopefully that's true. Now, I've tried to get up and stall this thing, so let's just full afterburner take off. I've tried to get up and absolutely put this thing into a flat spin. And you can't. No matter how hard you try, you won't be able to do it. So we're just going to get, going as fast as we can and try and get as high as we can to where the air is thinner. And maybe there's less allergies up there. And, excuse me for my allergies, every pony. But I woke up and said, I'm doing a Derp Your Hose video today. So here we are. I'm about 17,000, 18, getting on 20,000 feet now. So this is actually a pretty respectable altitude, right? Now, if I can't, I want to probably get this thing up to like double the altitude we're at before I try and flat spin it. So I'm going to say that it's a beautiful plane, without a doubt. 100% beautiful, the F-14 Tomcat. One of the most beautiful naval fighters in the U.S. Navy. Okay, so about 41,000. I mean, so in the 40s, it's actually kind of safe to try and start stalling her out. So, you might be saying, well, Pony, how do you know if you're going to stall her out or not? Well, so they say you can't force her into a stall. And on that, I have to agree. I have tried to force her into a stall. For example, let's just kill the engines. Let's see, I'm currently going at 547 knots. Now to 47,000 feet and dropping. So, that's going to make me pick up speed. But if I want to stall it out and put her into a flat spin, and so I'm sorry, we may experience some skipping here while we try and stall it out. So if I try and stall it out, like for example, put the speed brake. Yeah. Put that out. I mean, you can see that we still have the automatic wing sweep. Now here comes the wings coming out to compensate. But apparently, you know, you can do this. You can drop her right into a stall. Or she'll go into a flat spin for you. 150 knots. Well, we're still at 323. See, if I try, she's not going to do it. Just our rudders and our ailerons and try and force her into a flat spin, right? Let's try to force her into a flat spin. No? No, you can't force her into one. No. I'm trying. Figured full flaps will do it, right? No. Nope, nothing. So I can't seem to force her into a flat spin. And we're getting pretty low. So the other one, the heat blur F-14. Now I know that goes into a flat spin because I've done it, and I mean, so I'm gonna say on that one, on the heat blur Tomcat, the India Fox Gecko, which I really like too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like that one. Oh, we put an engine out? Wow. Okay, well, that's interesting because now we've got a whole different ball of wax. This might be the end of the flight. Yep. Yep. Well, I didn't quite count on that, every pony. So we're gonna have to restart. Oh, look at that. How interesting is that? Well, let's go ahead and restart, shall we?
I just don't know what went wrong.
Okay, so you can see that we just kind of paused our recording for a little bit here. And let's just go ahead and put our armaments back. Now, the external fuel doesn't matter that much. Doesn't have to be perfect numbers. I'm just trying to put some weight on it. 400. $1,000. 4 with 3 zeros. All right. And she should be configured the way I like her. Just like she was on the model boxes when you were a kid. Here we go. So we're going to try and get her to go into a flat spin, and I just can't guarantee you that it's going to happen. I've been trying for a couple of weeks. I mean, it really sparked my interest in this Tomcat again. I mean, in all fairness, in the flight sim world, you know, we get what we get. I mean, I'll just say in the beginning, you know, DC Designs was pretty much it for some of these fighter jets that were coming out in the beginning when Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 was all the hoopla. And then, you know, the complaints came in from people about, well, it just doesn't do this, it just doesn't do that, and I mean, I have to agree that occasionally I would definitely see some of the problems that others were talking about. And I was like, whoa. And then, you know, the the Heapler Tomcat comes out for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And I played a little bit of DCS before I got into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And, so I knew the Heapler Tomcat, which, was released by India Fox Deco, and I'm like, well, that's a great plane. And I could get into it because it's really easy to do. Maybe I can take it up and splice it into this video at the end. Is you can make that thing flat spin real easy. That has no issues when it comes to wanting to flat spin. You can literally put it right into a flat spin. And I've done it, and it's like, it's almost like it's programmed in. It's like all of a sudden, you could be flying through the air nice and smooth, and it like skips and sets itself up for it when it hits the right, the right value, and it goes into a flat spin that you can't recover from. And the Heapler Tomcat will do that. So we're in the India Fox Deco Heapler Tomcat doing this flat spin, and it's kind of pre-programmed. And I just wanted to put this in the video so that you can see the difference between the two. Because we did start out flying the DC Designs Tomcat in this video. And this is footage of the Heapler Tomcat right now spliced in. Just to show you what their flat spin looks like as we continue to do this video. And please forgive me, I just kind of get sarcastic with this sim when I start lowering landing gears and a flat spin. Just bear with me. But it does it the same way every time. So again, that's what I'm doing here. Is I'm in the DC Designs F-14A Tomcat, and I'm trying to put her into a spin. I'm trying to put her into a flat spin. But she doesn't want to seem to do it. And my altitude isn't all that great. But as you can see, the Tomcat will not let you force it into any kind of spin. It's really weird. So it's stalling out. That's what we want. One wing is stalling out. And so it should flat spin, right? Flat spin for me, Derpy. No. See, I can recover right out of it. It's just a stall. It's not even a spin. Is this our flat spin? Because I think I can get out of this flat spin. Yeah. So this is the problem that I'm running into. Now, I've upgraded to the latest version, the latest, greatest version, whatever it is that is supposed to give you the flat spins. And I downloaded mine from Just Flight. So I should be getting them, but I'm not. Now, I forget why everybody disliked this so much. You know, DC Designs really gets a fair amount of garbage. Speaking of which, I see that Captain Sim is back on the scene. And it looks like after 5 years of redemption, he redeemed himself somehow. Anyhow, that's interesting. Because I don't really remember Captain Sim. Oh no. And the aviation simulation world growled when he said that sentence. But I don't, you know. No offense to you, Captain Sim. I don't remember you. I mean, I'm this old, salty kind of pony. Who's been flying this sim since it came out. I was flying it on a Mac. You know, when it first came out, that looks like my base that I like so much. Yeah, I was playing it on a Mac when it first came out, black and white. When it used to skip frames and all you had was a mouse and a keyboard. Well, that's the base that I like so much. I'm not having any luck trying to force this thing into a spin. So yeah, and no offense, but it's like, then there's all this, it's like, well, I remember. For me, it wasn't until like, you know, after 2000, and I forgot what version of the sim I bought after that, where I was like, whoa. You know, and then even after that, it was like, whoa. You know, so, because I've watched the sim progress from, you know, its original state to what it is today. And I do remember at one point, I was like, man, I gotta pay the bills. I can't just spend money on flight sim equipment as much as I'd like to. You know. I had other stuff happen, and I had to stop simming for a while. And I think that's when Captain Sim came up. Was like, everyone's like, you remember FSX and you remember this? And it's like, no, I didn't fly FSX. And maybe that's why. Maybe it's because I missed a couple generations, you know, of the flight simming community. And it's just like, it seems so much in this industry, you miss a little bit, and you've missed the whole world go by. My God, you didn't sim for a year? You didn't game for a year? Do you know what you've missed? It's like, wow, I mean. Anyhow, and then we'll just date ourselves when we start talking about, you know, quarter slot video games and, you know, the original Nintendo, the NES system when it came out, and how everyone was happy for that. People that I knew when the original, like, Atari video console came out, and man, didn't we want that? Everybody wanted that. You know. But, anyhow, so, yeah, so no offense. I mean, I don't know who this. I didn't get in on the glory days of Captain Sim and Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, maybe I missed his level of quality. I don't know. And that's what I'm saying. It's like I really can't say. When everyone's like, no, he was great, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. So maybe he was, and maybe he's making a comeback. But, you know, it's like it's the same thing with DC Designs, I guess, in a way, where it's like, people are like, oh, but it's just not true to life. And it's just not this, and it's not just not that. And, you know, there's really only, oh, are we flat spinning? No way. Okay. So I'm also going to have to find out what happened to my center display. Because I think I turned it off. Yeah, so that really wasn't much of a flat spin. Flat splin. Yep, it wasn't a flat splin either. But it wasn't much of a flat spin. So I'm not having much luck trying to get this thing to flat spin, and I was on their forums recently asking them how to do it. So for me, it doesn't seem like it's really an easy thing to do. Um, and to be honest with you, that's not always a bad thing. Yeah, it makes me want to fly this a little more. And unfortunately, see now my problems with this whole flight simulator have been pretty much what I saw happening, which was, Asobo being the developer of the sim, really not communicating with its third party, content creators that much. And then them changing the base form of the sim a million times over because they made some kind of, mistake. And then everyone else is trying to figure out what it is, where, and what command is it that we need to change to make our stuff work with your change. And it's like the lack of communication. It's like a bad relationship. And then it affects the consumers. And then you get the whole Ford versus Chevy, Chevy versus Ford, Apple versus PC, Xbox versus PlayStation, X-Plane 12 versus Microsoft Flight Simulator. Which one is better? Well, so, I'm going to say, from seeing the evolution of the sim, I still can't force this thing into a spin. From seeing the evolution of the sim evolve to where it is today, because that's what it's done with the help of human beings. It's a human being creation, this sim. This, what I'm looking at on my display is light years ahead of what I was playing in 1982, 84, 85, whenever it is, and I laid my stubby little digits on the mouse and the keyboard, and my dad was like, "There you go, kiddo. Flight simulator." So, much different now. Leaps and bounds than yesteryear. And I guess the other things that changed is instead of, having to go do homework and stuff and, not being able to play the sim I like because of that, it's more like now I just have to go to work and stuff so that, I can pay the bills, so that I can come home and flight sim in my spare time. So I'm unable to flat spin it. I'm going to give it another shot. Because, it says that the F-14 used to go into these unrecoverable, horrible flat spins. They even, that was like something they touched on in Top Gun. That the F-14 apparently went into these horribly deadly flat spins. And some pilots said it had to do with the F-14 Tomcat A because the engines didn't have enough power for the aircraft. And I forget what there are other reasons behind it. I just know that right now I'm not able to force it into one, so. Beautiful plane. I want to say I grew up with this plane, and I guess I did. It was my childhood boy plane, right? And Tom Cruise hopped in in the F-14 Tomcat, and let's all go join the Navy and fly the F-14 Tomcat. And the F-14 Tomcat that, was kind of replaced by the F-18. Interesting little conversations I've had with people that have actually served in the Navy. Or actually people that served on both. The fact that they called the F-18 like the lawn darts. And as a kid, I never really liked the F-18 either, not compared to the sexy Tomcat, but, I liked the F-4 too, which was, a plane that was also flying in the skies at that time. And right now, the only Tomcats flying in the sky would be in the Iranian Air Force. So, the only ones that are left on the planet, the rest of them have all been shredded or they're on static display and they're permanently damaged so they can never fly again. And you ask yourself, I mean, what? It's not even a 5th generation fighter, it's a Cold War fighter, but I mean, was it that deadly? Was this plane that lethal that even today we're like, no, we don't want anyone to be able to have parts for it. We don't want it to be sustained. It's like, but we have the F-22, we have the F-35. We have these stealth-capable planes. Who needs an F-14? Well, anyhow, that's my rant. I think it would be cool if they brought the F-14 back, but, mainly maybe it's just like a styling thing. Oh, and I'm going to say it here, too. Like, people who are like, oh, but the Cybertruck. And it's like, no, that's not styling. That's like, wow. The fact that the F-14 has curves. Yes, it does. It has curves. Like F-15, the F-16. She's got some hips on her. Got a couple nice curves right where the curves should be. Not too pointy and stick-like. So, clearly I can't force this thing into a flat spin. So, yeah, my earlier rant was, I'm not so sure what some of the complaints were on this airplane. I know that for a while it was some like level of realism, and then it was this, and then it's that. And I'm going to tell you something myself. I mean, even though I've only done some texturing, that's about as far as I wanted to take it. At one point I had thought of myself as well, hey, maybe this is my golden opportunity to start making third-party aircraft. And after I've heard some of the stories of what some of the third-party developers go through, I'm glad I kept it at liveries. So, F-14 Tomcat, DC Designs, we're flying the F-14A right now. I forget what version it's going to be in. The version we're flying is going to be in the video comments. And I am unable to flat spin this. Sorry, every pony. I don't want to spend 4 hours trying to make this thing flat spin, just not to have it flat spin. So, I'm going to go ahead and circle back and hit Edwards and land this thing, which is not too far from me. But what I am going to say to every pony is, I know it's been a while, but thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves. You guys make the channel happen. I know I mentioned something about some health concerns. Well, hey, guess what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare every pony, but Pony is getting a little older, and And I guess he just has to take better care of himself. Thank God I'm not going to die or anything. I just, you know, gonna have to take better care of myself. And then I'll feel better to fly and do other things. Hey, every pony, it's no joke. Take care of your body so that when you get older, you don't fall apart like Pony. Yeah, so I didn't want everyone to think that I have something like terminal or something horrible. I don't. I do have a couple of, it turns out, inherited diseases that aren't going to kill me. But it just means diet and exercise. And it's hard to get diet and exercise when you're stuck behind a machine. So, you know, maybe a little less flight sim and a little more exercising. So, I'm going to say I like the DC Designs Tomcat. I think it's a good plane. I know it gets a fair amount of crap. And I am going to leave you guys in the air with, again, I know Edwards isn't that far. But we're just going to leave it with, hey, every pony. Thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.